Hello and welcome to Millennium News Hour. I am Tanziba Nawreen. In today's bulletin, we will present top and trending news from across the nation and the world. Let's begin with the headlines of the day. Biden welcomes Modi to White House in closely watched visit. Biden defends calling Chinese leader Xi a dictator and says he still expects to meet with him. The pilot and 4 passengers of the Titan submersible are dead, U.S. Coast Guard says. Senate votes to keep Biden rule toughening requirements on stabilizing braces for firearms. Florida Governor DeSantis picks up backing from 15 South Carolina lawmakers as he makes a campaign swing. Writers' lawyers say Trump is wrong about $5 million sex abuse defamation jury award. Federal judge strikes down Florida's ban on Medicaid funding for transgender treatment. DeSantis sues Biden administration over university accrediting system. Tornadoes teared through northern Texas town, killing 4. FDA warns stores to stop selling Elf Bar, the top disposable e-cigarette in the US. Hollywood writers at rally say they will win as the strike reaches 50 days. Billy Crystal and Queen Latifah look marvelous as they headline this year's Kennedy Center honors. China's president orders safety campaign after explosion at barbecue restaurant kills 31 people. King Charles III claims his first royal escort winner, dead Tory rides to victory in Gold Cup. French basketball player Wembanyama main focus ahead of NBA draft. And Ryan pitches Twins' first complete game shutout in 5 years, 6-0 win over Red Sox. You were listening to headlines, now news in detail. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi has been officially welcomed at the White House as part of a state visit, kicking off a day of events that was capped by a lavish state dinner. Modi was greeted by US President Joe Biden on Thursday as a military band played both countries' national anthems and soldiers paraded on the South Lawn. The Indian leader made chants of "Modi, Modi" from supporters. Protesters also gathered outside the White House gates. I have long believed the relationship between the United States and India will be one of the defining relationships of the 21st century, Biden said. Prime Minister Modi, welcome back to the White House. The challenges and opportunities facing the world in this century require that India and the United States work and lead together. And we are, he said, hailing the informal Quad group of the US, India, Australia and Japan, long seen as a bulwark against China, as well as efforts to protect critical technologies and what Biden called shared core principles of equity under the law, freedom of expression, religious pluralism, diversity of our people. Speaking in Hindi, Modi responded that he did not think he could thank Biden enough for his warm welcome and his far-sighted speech. Thank you, President Biden, for your friendship. This grand welcome ceremony of the White House today is an honor and pride for 1.4 billion people of India, he said. This is also an honor for more than 4 million people of Indian origin living in the US. The two countries are committed to work together for the global good and for global peace, stability and prosperity. Our strong strategic partnership is a clear proof of the power of democracy, Modi said, adding that the world order is taking a new shape. President Joe Biden emphasized the power of democracies on Thursday as he hosted Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi at the White House, boasting of the collaborations between the two nations on nearly every human endeavor while stressing that universal human rights remain vital to the success of both the US and India. President Joe Biden on Thursday defended his harsh public comments on China, including calling President Xi Jinping a dictator, saying his words would have no negative impact on US-China relations and that he still expects to meet with Xi in the future. Biden said his blunt statements regarding China are just not something I'm going to change very much. At a campaign fundraiser on Tuesday, Biden also depicted the Chinese president as out of touch during last winter's tumult over a Chinese spy balloon and dismissed China as having real economic difficulties. The remarks opened a new rift just after Secretary of State Antony Blinken concluded a visit to Beijing that was meant as a step toward stabilizing ties and improving communications with China. But Biden was undeterred. I expect to be meeting with President Xi sometime in the future, near term, and I don't think it's had any real consequence, he said, speaking during a White House news conference alongside visiting Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi. The pilot and 4 passengers of a missing submersible that disappeared en route to the wreckage of the Titanic are believed to be dead, the expedition company said Thursday. Pilot and Chief Executive Stockton Rush, along with passengers Shahzada Daud and his son Suleiman Daud, Hamish Harding and Paul Henry, have sadly been lost, OceanGate Expedition said in a statement. OceanGate did not provide details when the company announced the loss of life in a statement or how officials knew the crew members perished. The Titan's 96-hour oxygen supply likely ended early Thursday. OceanGate has been chronicling the Titanic's decay and the underwater ecosystem around it via early voyages since 2021. Later Thursday, U.S. Coast Guard officials said the search had uncovered parts of the Titan consistent with an implosion. The Coast Guard said the pieces were discovered within the search area by a remotely operated underwater robot. The Titan was estimated to have about a 4-day supply of breathable air when it launched Sunday morning in the North Atlantic, but experts have emphasized that was an imprecise approximation to begin with and could be extended if passengers have taken measures to conserve breathable air, and it's not known if they survived since the sub's disappearance. New rules that require owners to register stabilizing braces for firearms will stay in place after the Senate rejected a Republican effort on Thursday to overturn them. President Joe Biden had promised to veto the resolution overturning the rules if it had passed. In January, the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms and Explosives finalized the new regulations on pistols with stabilizing braces, also called pistol braces, that require owners to register them and pay a fee or remove the braces. The agency found the accessories can make pistols as dangerously powerful and easy to conceal as short-barreled rifles or sawed-off shotguns. The Senate voted 50-49 to reject the resolution, with all Democrats voting against it and all Republicans voting for it. The Republican-led House had passed the resolution earlier this month. The regulation, which went into effect June 1, was one of several steps Biden first announced in 2021 after a man using a stabilizing brace killed 10 people at a grocery store in Boulder, Colorado. A stabilizing brace was also used in a shooting in Dayton, Ohio that left 9 people dead in 2019 and most recently in a school shooting in Nashville, Tennessee. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis is rolling out endorsements from 15 South Carolina lawmakers, hoping their support for his Republican presidential campaign will help him make his case to voters in the South primary state. The endorsements, shared first on Thursday with the Associated Press ahead of DeSantis' town hall in North Augusta, come from 11 state House members and 4 state senators from across the state, with a heavy concentration in South Carolina's conservative upstate. It's a show of force for DeSantis in a state that current Republican frontrunner Donald Trump won handily in the 2016 primary and where he has maintained popularity. Earlier this month, state GOP leaders set February 24 as the date of South Carolina's Republican presidential primary, which still needs approval from National Party leaders. DeSantis' list includes Senator Josh Kimbrell, a Spartanburg Republican who has been bullish on the governor's candidacy since before he officially entered the race. On Thursday, he called DeSantis the only candidate in this race who can defeat President Joe Biden. Former President Donald Trump's claim that a jury sided with him when it agreed he didn't rape an advice columnist in a luxury Manhattan department store in the 1990s was an erroneous interpretation of the jury's $5 million award and its finding that he sexually abused her, her lawyers said Thursday. The lawyers urged a federal judge to reject a request by Trump's attorneys that he lowered the amount for sexual abuse and defamation awarded to the writer E. Jean Carroll to less than $1 million or let another jury hear evidence about damages and make its own determination. In doing so, the attorneys say Trump's lawyers had unjustly tried to mischaracterize the May verdict, which resulted from a 2-week trial. Trump did not attend the trial, though extensive excerpts of his recorded October deposition were shown to jurors. Carroll testified that Trump turned a flirtatious and fun chance encounter between the two into a violent sexual assault inside a Bergdorf Goodman dressing room in the spring of 1996, leaving her so traumatized that she never had another romantic relationship. A federal judge on Wednesday struck down Florida rules championed by Governor Ron DeSantis restricting Medicaid coverage for gender dysphoria treatments for potentially thousands of transgender people. Gender identity is real and the state has admitted it, U.S. District Judge Robert Hinkle wrote in a 54-page ruling. He said a Florida Health Code rule and a new state law violated federal laws on Medicaid, equal protection, and the Affordable Care Act's prohibition of sex discrimination. They are invalid to the extent they categorically ban Medicaid payment for puberty blockers and cross-sex hormones for the treatment of gender dysphoria, Hinkle wrote. The judge said Florida had chosen to block payment for some treatments for political reasons using a biased and unscientific process and that pushing individuals away from their transgender identity is not a legitimate state interest. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis announced Thursday that the state has filed a lawsuit against the Biden administration and the U.S. Department of Education over accreditation agencies which control federal aid for students. The lawsuit filed Wednesday in Fort Lauderdale Federal Court challenges a federal law that requires colleges and universities to submit to private accreditors to qualify for federal funding. It targets the U.S. Department of Education, Secretary Miguel Cardona, and other federal officials. The suit comes as DeSantis, who is seeking the 2024 Republican presidential nomination, imposes his conservative agenda on the state's education system. Earlier this year, he appointed trustees to the board of New College of Florida, a tiny Sarasota school of about 1,000 students that was best known for its progressive thought and creative course offerings. The new board intends to turn the school into a classical liberal arts school modeled after conservative favorite Hillsdale College in Michigan. Speaking about the accreditation lawsuit on Thursday, DeSantis said he refuses to bow to unaccountable accreditators who think they should run Florida's public universities. At least 4 people have been killed in a small town in Texas after a line of severe storms produced multiple tornadoes in the Rolling Plains region in the north of the U.S. state, local authorities said. At least 10 people also were injured in Matador, a town of some 570 residents about 112 kilometers northeast of Lubbock, the Lubbock Fire Department said on Thursday. The town of Matador has experienced an unprecedented tornado bringing damaging winds to the town, it said in a social media post. The department later added that it was continuing to assist with search operations using drones in support of mapping efforts and damage assessment. The Lubbock Avalanche Journal reported that Wednesday's storms also produced softball-sized hail and wind gusts topping 161 kilometers per hour in other communities in North Texas. That included Jayton, a small rural town that also was under a tornado warning as the line moved southeast on Wednesday night. There were widespread power outages across the Rolling Plains region. The Food and Drug Administration on Thursday said it has sent warning letters to dozens of retailers selling fruit and candy-flavored disposable e-cigarettes, including the current best-selling brand Elf Bar. It is the latest attempt by regulators to crack down on illegal disposable vapes that have poured into U.S. stores in recent years. Last month, the FDA issued orders allowing customs officials to seize shipments of Elf Bar, Escobar, and 2 other brands at U.S. ports. None of the products have received FDA authorization, and they come in flavors like cotton candy, which regulators say can appeal to teenagers. In the latest action, the FDA said it issued warnings to 189 convenience stores, vape shops, and other retailers. The FDA has tried for years to regulate the multi-billion-dollar vaping industry, but separate data released by government researchers Thursday shows unauthorized e-cigarettes continue to launch. The Centers for Disease Control Prevention analysis showed the number of e-cigarette brands in the U.S. grew from 184 in early 2020 to 269 by late 2022. The rise coincided with the growing popularity of disposable e-cigarettes. The analysis showed disposables' share of vaping sales more than doubled from 24.7% in early 2020 to nearly 52% by late last year. 50 days into a strike with no end in sight, about 1,000 Hollywood writers and their supporters merged and rallied in Los Angeles for a new contract with studios that includes payment guarantees and job security. Speakers at the Writers Guild of America's WGA Strong Merge and Rally for a Fair Contract on Wednesday emphasized the broad support for their cause shown by other Hollywood unions, including actors in their own contract negotiations and labor at large. We are all in it together. We are all fighting the same fight for a sustainable job in the face of corporate greed. Adam Conover, a writer and a member of the Guild's board and its negotiating committee, told a crowd at the end of the march at the Lowry Tar Pits. We are going to win because they need us. Writers are the ones who stare at a blank page, who are the ones who invent the characters, tell the stories, and write the jokes that their audiences love. They would have nothing without us. Talks with the Alliance of Motion Picture and Television Producers, the group representing studios in negotiations, have not resumed since breaking off hours before the writers' contract expired on May 1. The strike began a day later, with more and more productions shutting down as it has gone on. A similar deadline now looms for actors whose union, SAG-AFTRA, is negotiating with the AMPTP on a contract that expires June 30. Members voted overwhelmingly to authorize guild leaders to call a strike if no deal is reached. Billy Crystal is now one of 5 iconic artists selected for this year's Kennedy Center honors. The others selected for the Lifetime Artistic Achievement Award are rapper and actor Queen Latifah, opera singer Renee Fleming, 1970s music icon Barry Gibb, and prolific hitmaker Dionne Warwick. All will be honored with the traditional gala celebration at Washington's Kennedy Center for the Performing Arts on December 3. Kennedy Center President Deborah F. Rutter called this year's crop of inductees an extraordinary mix of individuals who have redefined their art forms. Crystal came to national prominence in the 1970s playing Jodi Dallas, one of the first openly gay characters on American network television, on the sitcom Soap. He went on to a brief but memorable one-year stint on Saturday Night Live before starring in a string of movies, including massive hits like When Harry Met Sally, The Princess Bride, and City Slickers. Now it's time for global updates. China's president ordered a national safety campaign on Thursday after a massive cooking gas explosion at a barbecue restaurant in the northwest killed 31 people and injured 7 others on the eve of a long holiday weekend. The blast tore through the restaurant at around 8:40 p.m. Wednesday on a busy street in Yangchuan, the capital of the traditionally Muslim Ningxia Hui Autonomous Region. As people gathered ahead of the Dragon Boat Festival, the official Xinhua news agency said. The explosion left many people unconscious and they needed to be carried out of the shop, according to the online news site The Paper, which quoted a member of the search and rescue team. Victims included elderly people and high school students, it said. An hour before the explosion, employees noticed the smell of cooking gas and discovered that a gas tank valve was broken, according to Xinhua. The blast occurred while an employee was replacing the valve. Chinese President Xi Jinping demanded urgent medical care for the injured and a safety overhaul after the explosion. He urged efforts to quickly determine the cause of the accident and hold people accountable under the law. She also said all regions and related departments should address all types of risks and hidden dangers and launch campaigns to promote workplace safety. King Charles III has claimed his first royal escort winner as the reigning monarch, watching the race alongside Queen Camilla from the royal enclosure. The king saw Desert Hero wearing the royal silks and an 18-1 shot win by a short head in the King George V Stakes on Thursday. Royal winners at the royal meeting are extremely special, especially this one, jockey Tom Marquand said. It will live high in my career, probably at the top for the rest of my days in the saddle. The king and queen were seen waving toward Marquand and Desert Hero after the race. Desert Hero's trainer William Hager said the king and queen are absolutely thrilled. It is obviously very important for racing, but it is important that the king and queen enjoy it, which they clearly appear to do, and long may that continue, Hager said. The late Queen Elizabeth II was a big fan of horse racing and had 24 winners at a royal escort in her long reign. Now it's time for business news. Today's New York stock close price is 15,600.70. The NYSE Composite is decreased by 56.30 points or 0.36%. Tokyo stock close price is 33,264.88. The Nikkei 225 index is decreased by 310.26 points or 0.92%. Shanghai stock close price is 3,197.90. The Shanghai index is decreased by 42.46 points or 1.31%. Hong Kong stock close price is 19,218.30. 1.35. The Hang Seng Index decreased by 388.73 points or 1.98%. Bombay stock close price is 63,238.89. The Sensex index is decreased by 284.26 points or 0.45%. Let's have a look on today's sports stories. All eyes are on French basketball phenom Victor Wembanyama as the United States prepares to kick off the 2023 draft for the National Basketball Association. At a news conference on Wednesday, the 19-year-old greeted reporters amid speculation that he could be one of the strongest prospects in years. He was widely expected to be selected as the league's #1 draft pick on Thursday night. Ever since I knew about the draft, exactly how it worked, I wanted to be first, Wembanyama said. I think I started to realize I could be a professional basketball player at the age of 12. Wembanyama, who stands at a massive 2.23 meters, is widely expected to be selected by the San Antonio Spurs in Texas. But Wembanyama himself has noted that the process has yet to be officially finalized. Joe Ryan pitched a three-hitter for Minnesota's first complete game shutout in 5 years. Byron Buxton became the first player in at least 9 seasons to hit a pair of 460-foot home runs in a game, and the Twins beat the Boston Red Sox 6-0 Thursday. Ryan pitched his first complete game in 47 big league starts, striking out 9, walking none, and facing no more than 4 batters in an inning. He had not pitched a complete game since 2018 for Cal State Stanislaus. Last Friday, Ryan allowed a season-high 6 runs against Detroit that raised his ERA in June to 5.03. Buxton hit a 466-foot home run in the first inning and a 465-foot drive in the third, his 9th multi-homer game and first since June 10 last year. He is the first player with 2 460-foot homers since StatCast started tracking in 2015. Buxton is 5 for 11 with 3 homers and a double in his last 3 games after going 1 for 34 with 17 strikeouts in his prior 10 games. He has 13 home runs this season. Minnesota got back to 0.500 at 38-38 and leads the AL Central. Let's have a look on today's weather forecast. That's all in today's news. Keep watching Millennium News 24 for latest update. Millennium TV USA and Millennium News 24 network is transmitted and available to be watched free for all ad TVs such as Sony, Samsung, LG, Roku TV, Amazon TV and Apple TV, and also in all European countries and Australia, available with Sky Network, Worldwide Jadoo TV, Radiant IPTV, Worldwide Jago Video Network and Horizon Satellite globally. Stay connected with us for all types of informative and entertainment program. Thank you.